Hello, Chargers. Welcome to round number 10 of the Tata Steel Masters 2022. All right, in this round, we will feature Nils Grandelius' first win over Daniil Dubov. All right. Why Neil? Neil has been playing a very forgettable tournament, but I actually like what he showed in this game. It's all about character, never losing hope, and keep trying, right? He has never won a game. He has 4 draws. He is in the bottom of the standings. But in this game, he was happy, I guess, with his first win. Right? Keep trying, keep trying. It doesn't matter how many times you fall, but it's how you rise up to the challenge. And congratulations to Nils' first win. And here we go. Daniil Dubov against Nils. Okay, Dubov started with knight f3. Nils went for c5, inviting the Sicilian b4. Okay, white could go for g3 here, and that's the key. He could go for c4, which is the English. So with the invitation to the Sicilian, Nils is actually a Sicilian player. And Dubov actually played e4. So d6, bishop b5. We have the Moscow variation. This is the Moscow, this is the Moscow variation of the Sicilian. Bishop d7, takes and takes. Black can also keep his light square bishop. Can also go for knight d7 here. Right? But in this case, Nils wants to exchange the light square bishop. Takes, knight takes on d7, c3. An interesting approach by Dubov. I mean, he is delaying his castling. He went into more of like the Alapin type of position, right, with c3. So knight gf6 hitting e4. He went for queen e2. And Carlsen likes to play positions like this, also queen e2. Simple chess. e6. We are transposing into a French kind of position. Takes, takes, and then d5. Now this resembles the French, yeah? A French kind of position with e6 and d5. This is more of like the French advance with the exchange of the light square bishop. So bishop b4 check, bishop b2, takes, takes. According to Nils, it doesn't matter if I go back, okay, the knight is better placed on c6 or on f5. Yeah. Castle's queenside, I don't know about this move. This is kind of dubious, yeah. Dubov underestimated Nils. Maybe he thought that, okay, Nils was coming from back-to-back losses against Caruana and another one the other day. So he probably thought that I can play anything on the board. But you don't castle in an open file, right, with this. He castled on an open C file and just limited, and look at black's pieces later on. Okay, white has h4, g4, but it will be too slow because black has kept his pawn intact on h7, g7, and f7, unless black plays h6 here, yeah. Okay, normal development, normal casting here would just be casting side, yes. And if let's say knight goes to e7, this rook fc1. Okay, more or less equal castles here. You can go for whatever you want. You can go h4. Okay, he castled queenside. He's inviting trouble. Double is a very dubious move. Daniil Dubious here. Okay, so knight into e7, king to b1, knight into c6, hitting the d4 pawn, h4, queen to b6, queen to e3, protecting d4, 6. Knight and queen is attacking it. Look to c8, h5, And now h6. All right, or else white will play h6. If play g4, okay, probably that's the motivation to castle on the queen side because he has this g5 break. Nils went for queen b5. Nice move. The idea of queen b5 is to clear the square for the knight. The knight can either jump to a4 or c4. The other knight can also jump to a5, yes, and then c4. So rook into c1, castles. Although knight b6 was also possible here. Delay castling first. All right, rook to c1 castles. Now in the game, Dubious went for another Dubious a3 move. Now let's say, for example, white plays g5, there's knight b4. If you take on h6, knight e3, threatening that pawn on e2 with the queen and the knight. All right, probably that's maybe that's the reason why, or that's the reason why he played the move a3 to restrict knight going to b4. Okay. So knight e7, a nice defensive move, because if opponent plays g5, there's knight f5. Yes, you protect both squares. This important g7 and h6 squares to your king. It's a nice defensive move. Knight h4, okay, preparing f4 and then g5 plus taking away f5, yes. Knight into b6. King a2, I don't think king a2 was the best here. Well, to be consistent, he can play f4. Yeah. And if takes, knight c4, for example, just takes, and then g5. If you want consistency. This is probably okay for white, but black should be fine as well. King a2, waste move. Here, black played knight c4 anyways. Queen b3. Okay, if you take with the knight, now d takes c4. If you play g5, for example, c3. This was missed by Dubious, I guess, because rook takes c3. Now we have this one. Oh, sorry, we have queen b5. That is the double attack on the rook and the king. Yeah. We probably miss this tactic with c3. And so he played here queen b3. So king a2, pretty bad. Queen a6. When you are attacking, it's better to keep the queen. Knight h1 f3. Now the start of, okay, a wrong plan because the knight was supposed to go to h4 and f4. And he decided to come back. So it was a waste of tempi. Yeah. Rook c6, threatening rook to d6, rook takes b2. Queen into d3, queen d5, queen a6, saving time, I guess. And he was going for rook fc8 anyways. Double the rooks on the open file. Dubious went for rook c3. Here, knight takes d2. It is much better, of course, to play b5, yeah, threatening rook b4 here. If opponent plays rook b3 to stop it, rook b6, b4 is coming. b4 is coming. If the king moves away from the pin of b4, what can you do? Takes, and then the knight jumps, and the knight takes it. If queen protects the b4 pawn, this knight takes d2, takes on d2, knight takes b4 because there's queen to d3, right? Takes this queen to d3. If knight takes on d2, knight takes e5, the queen protects. Just a very bad pawn structure in front of the king. All right. Nils played knight takes d2. It's good anyway, straight. King is just so bad. Yeah, king is just so bad. Queen c4 check, king b2, queen b5. Okay, again saving time. Rook to c6. Sorry, Queen to c4, queen to b5 is gaining time. Yeah, it's not going for perpetual. Okay, queen c2, rook to b6, rook to a6, king b2, gaining time once again. Okay, a veteran move. Yeah. Queen b3, this was not so good. Okay, in this position, for example, let's try to go back when the rook was on c6, right? You have the king on b2, right? c3 is a target by rook and queen. Here, we can maneuver the knight to c8. Let's say, for example, the knight attacks your queen. Queen b5 check. Yeah. King, whatever. King a1, king a2. Let's say king a2. Get inside. Pin, pin. Pawn protects queen attacking here, right? Rook c1, and then you go knight to b6. c3 is your target, and this is just very bad. Okay. Not only it's c3, also here you can do that. It's takes and takes target. Oh my God, what to do? My pawns will just fall one by one. You can just pick your apples. Yeah. Queen to d1, just rook to c3. Okay, Nils played it safe. Anyways, the pawn structure is bad. Backward pawn c3, a3. Okay, he went for the pawn. Yes, single pawn. Okay, the rest is just endgame technique, taking some time. Okay, Dubious could have just captured here and here f4. I'm not sure how Black will try to go for a win here. This is not so easy because there's no open files. It's a close game. Yeah. There's no way that rook can get in. Okay, but Dubious went for 92, d4, takes, knight c6, d4 is the target, d3, knight takes d4, 2 pawns up, king h7, pass pawn must be pushed, the outside pass pawn. Don't worry about that f7 pawn. Okay, knight c6, e5 the target, f4, pass pawn, knight taking away that square. 57, good move, right? Woohoo. Rook c8, push. Rook a8. Okay, he can also go for a2 here. All right, because the rook cannot take. It's not d4 check. Okay, so a2. Keep on pushing the pawns. But okay, he went play knight b4. It's fine. c3, knight a6 is blocking the rook first. a2, knight a1. Okay, rook b1. Not too sure about this. Oh, Dubious could have just captured. Rook takes a1 and king b2. What was he worried? Okay, there is rook f1. King takes a2, rook takes f4. Maybe he was worried that this is going to be a win. Okay, Black should win with 2 connected pawns. Yeah, but White has this dangerous e5 pawn. Let's just say king b3. If you go rook, king b4. If let's say you take this king c5, I guess this is equal. So there's a bit of a revelation here. Dubious has to work somehow on his endgames, I guess. Okay, rook to b1. The Dubious is a very good tactical player. Not sure about some endgames and some positions in the endgames. Although he was able to save a pawn down endgame against Duda the other day. Okay, knight c2, just promote, takes, piece up. The rest is just a matter of technique. 5 takes. This pawn looks dangerous, but Black has rook to c8 and a nice move. This is funny because this is different. Rook takes. If you push that pawn, rook takes h5. Yes. The Syria king goes up. This rook h4. Now, there is this hook to the e4 square. You go rook to d6, rook d4, and then this is winning for black. Look at the difference, difference from the position where, okay, let's go back to the position earlier where you can capture this, takes an a1 into b2, or we can also go b3, by the way. Okay, rook to f1, king takes a2 is the same, takes on e4, takes on e6, rook takes b4, king b3, right? You go rook g5, king b4. The king steps on that important rank or that square. Because after take, and you have king c5, and the white could save the draw. But in this position where the knight is still on a6, okay, king is on d2, it's far away. You cannot, okay, you cannot after take, right? You cannot step on the fourth. Tempo on the pawn takes, you want to step, we call that one cut off, the cutting off method. Yeah. Cutting off this line for the king, cut off. And then rook e4 is just a win. So f6 was played, keep the knight, king g8, nice move. Right, knight is the best blockader of the pass pawn. Knight e6. Rook b7, knight g5. If the rook, let's say, attacks the knight, for example, after knight e6, rook to e7, just knight d4, right? If the king attacks the knight, you have rook to d1. You want to go king e3, for example, there's knight f5 check. If you go king c3, just knight c6. If you go rook e6 to keep that pawn, king f7. You cannot take. There's a skewer. And later you pick up these 2 pawns. So rook to b7, knight g5, nice move. Rook f5, another mistake. King f7, rook b7, king, rook b8, rook b7, king e8, rook e7, king f8. White with perfect play is actually going for a draw. King b4, knight f7, takes, king e4. White is, this is the mistake, the final mistake, king f4. Okay. Although it's very hard to find the move rook e6. Keeping that, keeping an eye on that one. Rook e6, rook e7. Now, if let's say you push, rook e7, you push, no e6. You go knight e6, king f4. You take that pawn, for example, king g4. Rook takes on f6, right? Okay, rook a7. Again, in an endgame where it's rook knight against rook, it's a draw. If you protect, for example, it's king g5. You cannot go rook h8 because it's a8. Okay, you can, since there's 98, but e7. If let's say you go f7, whoops, e8. King takes e8. It's a draw. Off a draw. Okay, you cannot follow Dubov. It's hard to find that idea. So, knight h8, knight g6, takes, keep the pawn, keep it, knight e5, knight f7. Sorry, win. Dubov resign. And then going back, okay, just going back to the critical moment here. Instead of the move, okay, rook f5, yes. I'm sorry, yes, rook f5, yes. This was the critical moment. It has to be rook e1. If king goes to before this knight f3, you take the pawn, right? So if that's the king has to go to f4, but now push. If you keep checking, king f7, rook to b7, the king goes to e6, you check on e7, king d5, yeah, because the knight is there. There's rook f1, the knight is there. Okay, that's just the main difference. And if let's say the rook moves behind the pawn, king e8 attack, because you cannot take the pawn, there's a double check. a double attack to the king and the rook. Double attack. So after that, you say you play rook to rook e4, king f5, for example, takes, and then knight to f7. This single pawn on h6 will win for black. Right, so that was a good character win by Nils. It's his first win in the tournament after round number 10. So after 10 games, his first win. But he never lost hope. Yeah, never lost hope. He kept fighting, and he was given this victory with that fight. It was all about that fighting spirit. Yeah. You feel down, of course, losing a bunch of games, but show your grit, show your resilience. Yeah. It's all about resilience, and he was rewarded here. And Dubov also, okay, that Dubious move, it was more of the casting, this 12th move. He could have just castled kingside. Okay, this casting queenside might have, cost him the game. All right, so Carlsen still leads the tournament by half a point because Giri also drew his game against Duda. Carlsen drew against Karyakin. It was a boring draw with 16 moves. But maybe he's just reserving his energy for the last 3 games because tomorrow is the final rest day of the tournament. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the day after tomorrow for round 11 of the Tata Steel Chess 2022. This is Coach Oliver. I'm signing off.